Screw everybody. How about that? How we doing? Evan and Tiki right here on the fan. I'm happy about one thing. I'm pissed off about 900 other things. I'm happy that Tiki's back. Welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
I missed you. And now you're involved in a mess. Tiki Barber walks through that door, and there's a lot to get to. Now, let me just address this off the top. I lost to Sean Morash in pickleball.
Obviously, you still have your beard, dude.
My beard is here. I lost. I feel like I got screwed. More on that later. Okay, we will address it later. We'll go through the video. Not now. Not at that moment. But that's not even the only thing I'm pissed off about. Tiki, you're back and you're involved. Maybe in the middle. I don't know. We're going to find out. In a Jet fan civil war that's going on right now. And I don't like the position I've been put in. So I want to make this clear. I don't think Robert Saleh is a good head coach. I don't think Robert Saleh is going to be the head coach of this team when and if somehow, some way, they win a Super Bowl. I spent a lot of time last year, Tiki, me and you, destroying Robert Saleh. But based on that Athletic article from yesterday, I have heard from many of my brethren Jet fans, and their leader in this, of all people, is Sean Morash. He's become the leader of this movement that they have to fire Robert Saleh now.
Come on, it's not going to happen.
Of course, it's not going to happen. But not only that, Tiki, and this is where I'm so annoyed. Help me out on this. Mm-hmm. Two things can be true, ladies and gentlemen. Robert Saleh can be a bad head coach, but he's also their best option. Right now, firing him is not their best option. It doesn't make sense. So what I'm annoyed about, Tiki, is that I'm in this position where I'm like defending Robert Saleh, even though I don't think Robert Saleh is good. I just think the idea of firing him today, led by Sean Morash and many Jet fans, is based on fantasy sports lunacy.
Well, everybody loves to be the owner, or take ownership from the owner and fire their head coach. We see this in every sport. We see it in every business. We see it everywhere because we don't fully understand what's going on or what the dynamic is. So the issue with Robert Saleh is that chaos started to reign and he didn't feel it. Like it was happening. You knew it was happening. It started in the offseason. This is before Aaron Rodgers got hurt. With the dynamic and the immediate tension, the inflated expectations, the savior syndrome that Aaron Rodgers brought to that team, and while it felt uniform that everybody liked it, I don't know if everybody liked it. It's taken the shortcut. I've said this multiple times. It's taken the shortcut to try to get to a Super Bowl championship. Now, can it work? Yeah, maybe, but it's unlikely. And when it all fell apart, things started going erratic, right? The rats started coming out of the holes and started biting at anything they could get their grasp on. They started leaking stuff to the media. They started creating a narrative about players and about coaches and about the entire situation. What does it sound like, Evan? It sounds like dysfunction.
Yes, it does. Yes.
It's dysfunction.
I agree with
that's
that.
the definition of it, and especially when it comes to sports, when there's not a uniform mantra that permeates the building. And maybe we speculated about it. Maybe we joked about it. Maybe we yelled and screamed about it. We didn't know. Now we know that it was that way. And so Robert Saleh, while he's the head of all that, I don't think that it was him. It wasn't his fault, and it's not his, I think, curse to be fired because of it. You know what I mean? So to me, he needs to do a house cleaning himself, right? And I know they were joking yesterday about, or maybe this was even today, he wants to go through everybody's phone to see who leaked the stuff about
That
Zach
was in the
Wilson.
Athletic, that he was so paranoid,
Right.
and that's the key word, that he wanted to go through coaches' phones and staffers' phones to find out who's leaking this information.
Well, obviously, he doesn't trust his staff.
Right.
Like, he doesn't trust them. And so it's hard to be a head coach. And I'm not saying you fire him because I think he's a good man, but I think he's been undone by dysfunction of this Jet organization.
Okay, but I want to hit on that. So here's the key word, ladies and gentlemen, dysfunction. Watch this. Watch this little game, and you can't deny what I'm about to say. The New York Jets right now are dysfunctional, right? We all have our common ground. They're a dysfunctional franchise. You know what would make them more dysfunctional?
Firing a head coach and trying to find another one?
Firing their head coach.
As we clearly saw this offseason, there aren't a ton of quality head coaches out there.
Firing their head coach on February 1st. Like, let's play this game out. Like, it is real damn easy to be on social media, Jet fans, and follow your new leader, Big Sean Morash. Overrated pickleball player, but wonderful guy who doesn't have your best interest at heart. Like, remember that.
Are you describing Saleh or me?
You don't have their best interest at heart because it's dysfunctional now. And it is, and I admit that. But what would make it more dysfunctional is firing this head coach right now when no one's going to want the job. Like, seriously, imagine a world where it comes out today. Loogie plays the glass. Breaking news. Robert Saleh's been fired, right? Just comes out.
He hasn't really been fired. So if you just tuned in, that didn't actually happen.
That's right.
Evan's making an example.
Now what? Thank you. He's been fired. Our reactions after the moment of shock would be, what a mess. What a dysfunctional organization. And so that is not the better result. Like right now, the Jets, unfortunately, maybe like our election in a few months, there isn't really a good option, but you got to pick your best option. And at this moment, the best option for the New York Jets is for Robert Saleh to be the guy and figure it out. And if he doesn't figure it out, then he's gone. But the other options, such as let's fire Saleh and find a new head coach, we'll get more into that in a minute. That's flawed. And then the other option that I hear, and I used to hear this about the Nets too, usuly comes from people that don't root for the team, blow the whole thing up. Get rid of everybody.
It's easy to say blow it up when you have no stake in it.
Exactly. And that's what, by the way, let me just say this to all of you people out there who told me to blow it up a year ago. They did it. And where am I now? So shut your mouths. Okay? You got what you wanted. You told me, blow it up. Blow it up. They did blow it up. Now what? So when you tell me to blow it up, understand that I'm standing there, as is every other Jet fan, with the remnants of what happens. Understand that.
Yes.
Because I was in Brooklyn last night after they blew it up. And I'll be at Florham Park as a Jet fan after they blow it up that some people think is the best idea. Blow it up to what? So you got three options, and I'm sorry for screaming. I'm very pissed off today. I feel like I got hosed by him in pickleball, and I'm annoyed about this Jet stuff.
Let it go, bro.
I'm going to try. Let me just try to calm down when I say this. You blow it all up. We all agree that's stupid. You try to replace Robert Saleh when no one's going to want this job. That's stupid.
Now what?
So the best option is to run it back. That doesn't mean I think they're going to win. That doesn't mean I think it's going to work. But what gives you the best chance? And that's what you need to do.
Yeah. And it's hard for me to disagree with that. I'm biased in some ways because I like Robert Saleh. I like Nate Hackett. We all know this. I love Nate Hackett, saying it for since he got here. But you also realize that something has to change. And I'm not privy to the insides to specifically say this needs to change, this needs to change, this needs to change, this needs to change, but something has to change with this organization. And maybe it's Robert Johnson.
Woody Johnson.
Woody Johnson.
Well, maybe Robert is this weird name. I forgot.
It is, yeah. But it's Woody Johnson. No, I'm thinking of the hospital. So Woody Johnson needs to, speak and be heard within his building. Now, I don't know how much he's around. I know he doesn't live in this area full time. He's likely down in Florida and likely has his pulse on what's happening, but he's not there. And so if you want something to be successful, you have to be there. If you are, in your mind even, if it's simply there, a great leader, you have to be there. You can't let this dysfunction continue. And so things need to change. I don't know specifically what it is, but something has to move with the Jets. Otherwise, the same cycle that we've seen for 20, 30, 40 years, it's just going to keep happening over and over and over again. Oh, we get some good stuff. Oh, we got a couple of good seasons. Oh, we got some good signings. Oh, we had a good draft. But the dysfunction always creeps in when there's a void in leadership. That's what it comes down.
Robert Wood Johnson IV, ladies and gentlemen.
I knew it was right.
You were right.
Of course I was right.
Guys, I'm sorry. I think that this is becoming so muddled and so uncomfortable. Look, I get it. Saleh's a great guy. I'd even go as far as to say Joe Douglas should have his ass out of here, too, because that makes it more dysfunctional having him hire another head coach. That being said, He's paranoid, taking away the cell phones. He's going around begging people to listen to him about what happens when you lose your quarterback, when we have evidence, by the way, that you can stay afloat when you lose your quarterback.
If you have a good backup.
If you have a good backup, which goes back to this. But this is not that foreign. If this would have happened 3 or 4 weeks ago when Woody Johnson made the decision, nobody would have said it was dysfunction. We would have said it was the right move. Guess what? There was a year where the Colts waited around forever for Josh McDaniels to take the job, and he backed out, and they ended up hiring Frank Reich, who I know is since gone. But the Colts that following year or two weren't necessarily dysfunctional. Whatever dysfunction they had still came from Jim Irsay. When the Eagles waited seemingly forever to fire Doug Peterson, they hired Nick Sirianni, who was so stunned to even get an interview, didn't even have interview clothes. That only happened, by the way, in a week ago time. They are not that far behind the clock. This should have been a major wake-up call because you could scream and yell about how dysfunctional it looks. You know what's more dysfunctional? Running this back next year and wasting the investment of Aaron Rodgers.
I am not going to scream and yell. I'm going to try to sedate myself right now. And I'm going to very, very calmly try to say this, Tiki. And you tell me if I'm right, okay? You can be the judge. This job sucks. No one's going to want it. Aaron Rodgers is coming off an Achilles, and he's 40, and it's a make-or-break year for this group. Whoever takes that job is going to know that. Ben Johnson already decided, I don't want to take the Washington job. He's not going to rearrange his decisions and take the Jet job. And by the way, no offense to Ben Johnson, I wouldn't even want him. Like, I don't want a first-time coach. And so you can think Mike Vrabel. You can even have that fantasy, and it is a fantasy about Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is not coaching the Jets.
Ever.
Get it out of everybody's mouth and everybody's brain.
Ever. He's never
Evan.
coaching the Jets.
Ever.
Forget Bill
So
Belichick,
who's
man.
coaching the team once you get the blood that you want?
I like Mike
Well,
Tomlin.
here's the thing. Here's the thing, Ev. And
Yes.
hold on a second, Sean.
I'll take it.
Yes. You can get someone to coach the team. No one's going to turn down, or at least someone will not turn down, whatever it is, $5 million a year.
Someone.
To coach it. You can get somebody.
Yeah, they could get me to
do
coach
it.
the team, but that's
Exactly.
not good.
It doesn't mean that it's going to be the harbinger of great things to come. Because whoever you hire, if you fired Robert Saleh right now, you would be convincing yourself it was the right thing to do. And I know the cliche because we've heard it a million times. Oh, it's addition by subtraction. Get rid of that dysfunction. It's Robert Saleh's fault. Let's blame him. But the problem is when you take all of the nonsense and you bundle it up, like you take all your trash and you bundle it up into this one tight bowl and then you stick it to one person and then throw that person away, you didn't actually get rid of the trash.
Right.
Right? You just got rid of the head, and it doesn't, the dysfunction is still going to be there. Right? You can't reset and fire the entire staff, so half of those people are going to still be there. And guess what? Some of those people are probably the problem. And they're going to say, look, I got rewarded for being an ass to my head coach because I'm still here and he's gone. And so, like, this is what we talk about when we talk about culture. And by the way, the Giants aren't, clear of this either because they have some issues, which we'll get to later on. But the Jets right now, they have to take a stand and stand up for who they actually are. We know who Robert is as a person. We know he hasn't proven himself as a coach. But organizationally, something has to change. And my problem with the Jets is I think they think it's okay. I think they're saying to themselves, it'll be all right.
Well, yeah,
It'll
because
be
I
fine.
think they feel Aaron Rodgers fixes everything.
Once we get back into football,
Right.
we'll be okay. Why? Because Aaron's going to save us.
See, you're right about a lot of what you're saying, and that's why when we get to next season, and obviously we have a long offseason to see what additions they make, I can't imagine I'm sitting here in September with confidence. I can't imagine
It's not a repeat of last offseason?
No, and by the way, even last offseason, what was my confidence? They'd be a playoff team. They'd get to the championship game. They'd get to the divisional round. I don't know what the hell my confidence was. But what gives you the best chance to win? And that's the thing you got to ask yourself. And once you realize that this is completely failed, and maybe at the end of the season we'll be there. It'll be so obvious at the end of the season that this did not work, that the idea of blowing it up becomes the only solution. We're not there yet because we never saw this work yet. We never saw it have an opportunity to work. So what I like about running it back, despite my concerns and the concerns you laid out and the hope that things change, is that while there's a lot of concerns to it, it's their best hope. It's their only hope because the idea of changing the head coach and hiring, your words, someone will take the job, someone, Like, I don't know, the guy I live down the block from will say, I coach Pee Wee football. I'll take the job. That doesn't give them the best option to win. And all I want, Sean, you don't know it, is I just want to win.
Yeah.
So that's where I come from. I come from a place of what gives this stupid franchise, and that I hate. I hate them at the same time. What gives them the best chance to win? And sickily, it's actually this.
It doesn't, man. Like, I get it. Like, there's plenty of radio debates, and we will have a million in the years to come, I hope. I can't back down on this. Dude, the idea that you're just so willing to say, this job's not appealing, I'm sorry. I think that's narrow-minded. We talked about Ben Johnson refusing the commander job. Here's the deal, man. When you get hired as a new head coach, there's very few Harbaughs get placed with Justin Herbert in the Chargers. Usually, a job that opens up because the team has massively failed, and the likelihood is they don't have a quarterback in place, and you're probably going to start that trajectory upward again. You get the benefit, if you're a coach, of coming in here and going, I don't have to worry about that position in my first year, and I can figure out what the hell I'm doing with this team and worry about that. You get almost a free year.
No, Sean, it's so much more complicated than that. I think Aaron Rodgers, to be honest, is the least of the issue. Like his health, his future, that's the smallest of the issue.
Which should make it appealing, shouldn't it?
No, I'm talking about the culture of this team. I'm talking about the repeated instances of things just not being handled the right way. And we always talk about this, how hard it is to be and play and coach and exist, succeed in New York. It's because there are leaks everywhere, right? And you're never in a solid ship. There's always something kind of leaking in.
Bad job by me.
We'll fix that one later. Well, don't worry about that right now. We got to worry about this other one on the other side. You know what? We got those two. Forget those two for now. We got to fix this problem. Like there's so many problems because there's so many people poking holes in an organization in New York. That's why it's hard to play here. It's not because I feel the pressure and got all these fans and it's not that. It's just once something goes wrong, people start vulturing you.
Yeah.
And right now, the Jets are getting vultured. And if you get rid of their only, at least my thinking, I'm with Evan on this, the only chance to stabilize that this year, forget next year. They're going 3 games. If they reset and blow it all up, as Evan was saying, they're winning 3 games next year. I don't care who Aaron Rodgers is at quarterback or who he has. You can't let the dysfunction win. And that's what's happening.
We are engaging in a Jet fan civil war, so pick your side. 877-337-6666. We'll get to your calls next. We've got maybe undeniable proof that the New York Jets are pissed off at Robert Saleh. And I will address how I handled last night, because I closed the show yesterday, Tiki, by explaining what I thought I was going to do when Kevin Durant was announced at Barclays Center. I was on a little date with my wife in Brooklyn, and I will tell you what happened and how I reacted. Very quickly. Not going to bore you with it. I'll give you a couple of minutes on it.
The Nets still in the league.
But right now, we're engaged in a Jet civil war. What side are you on?